Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Inkler, a little bit tired. Joining me as always in the co-host seats are our good friends Angela Rose and Darren
Hello.
Sterling.
Hello. I promise I'm more conscious this week.
And I'm still in recovery mode.
I'm the one
So you
that you
got-
have to worry about.
So you got tired host, recovery co-host, and half awake co-host. Okay. Sounds like a great show.
Hi, Ross.
We want to
Hi,
remind
Mario.
We want to remind everybody that Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you by Casey Fox for all of your artwork, cosplay, and photography needs. Be sure to check out Casey Fox. That's KAYCIFOXX on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Again, welcome to everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. Tonight, we welcome Angela back from her little couple-week vacation. She had to get away from us. We were driving her nuts with all the isekai talk.
Nah.
She was sick of vending machine stuff. And
Oh, God. Yes, Ross, I had a lovely vacation. Thank you, John, for the nice welcome back. And, as a segue, vending machines in other countries are not the same as vending machines here.
It's funny. One of the radio shows, talk shows, the early morning shows that a lot of them have.
Yep.
They were going on a rant. They're like, DiGiorno is planning on introducing its pizza vending machine in the U.S. So they're trying to go the Japan route of cook-to-order vending machine food.
I'll be honest, I would be tempted to try it, but I'm also scared after the video I saw of the Wacky Weekend with Connor and Chris.
You want to see some good vending machine food videos? Check out Aki Dearest.
If you want to see some weird Domino's pizzas, watch Aki Dearest.
She did that. She also did one where they bought vending machine pizza.
Thank you, Ross.
Well,
I suppose now's a good. So, Ross, I actually did take your advice, and I did actually watch the first episode of Happy Marriage, and it was actually quite good.
So kudos to you, Ross. You got Angela to watch an anime. And she liked it.
I liked it enough that I'll actually keep watching it.
Okay.
And Ross, the reason that I chose the Tio Tico from Pretty Derby is because I finally finished season 1 of Pretty Derby last night while laid up in a hotel. And it was actually, the series was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think I would like it. And that led to a little bit of a discussion we had before going on the air about what is it with the Japanese culture and these people creating these female animals that are attractive. Cute, you have the cat girls and the bunny girls and dragon girls and, now we're adding horse girls to the list. All the characters from that were absolutely adorable. Not in a waifu type of way or a perverted way. They were just cute characters.
Catching up on all of our a fair amount of our YouTube content. One of the while we've been playing Baldur's Gate, one of the background stuff was Trash Taste at Anime Expo. And if you caught some of the clips, Sydney went around and tried asking at the trash taste booth, and started asking people who their favorite waifu was.
Oh my
Some of
god.
the answers got interesting.
Oh, I'm sure. Ross says it took him a year after season 2 came out to watch Derby because he was busy, but he will not be watching season 3.
I wonder if season 3 is going to continue to follow the same main again, or if they're going to do like they did in season 2 and change main characters again.
Possibly. And HH in the chat says Japanese yokai often had human-like features, so anthropomorphing creatures is a familiar concept in their art. That is good to know. I did not realize that.
That's HH. That's impressive, and you know. Your comment does make a lot of sense. And Ross, to answer Darren's question, completely new characters, completely different team.
Well, as long as they keep it, similar to how the first season was, I think it'll continue to be good. And so Angela is back after missing 2 weeks, where we talked about random nonsense. And of course, she missed the fun of the Token with the Dead guys, who, even though she wasn't here, they still gave her crap for not being here.
Yep. And I knew that's exactly what was going to happen, too.
I think their exact words were, just because you're in Greece doesn't mean that you shouldn't be here. We have people who tune in from all over the world, so that's not an excuse.
Time zone, family, and heat sick.
TV. One. My old one. We took the living room one to my mother because it's bigger.
But how was your trip?
Overall, the trip was fantastic. I 10-hour flights are not necessarily fun.
Did you have enough anime downloaded that could keep you busy, or?
Well, for the flight there, once food was served, I actually went to sleep because I knew we were going to be landing at 8:30 a.m. Athens time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be tough.
But the flight home was basically just spent mostly watching movies, reading books. I was impressed with the in-flight entertainment.
And hello, Mario. So glad you could make it. It's great to see so many awesome people in the chat again. Hello to John Knight, Ross, Fluff, HH, and Mario, and everybody else who tunes in. If you're listening to us on podcast platform, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us talk about anime and random nonsense, because that's what we do best.
Yep.
And Mario is excited. Oh, that's the wrong one. Chat continues. Hey, Angela's back.
Yep. I'm laughing at Ross. I love to travel. That is no secret. But I also do enjoy the show. It's always fun hanging out with all of you guys.
And we do have some of the best listeners and viewers out there. Whenever we're talking and we get stumbled on character names or shows or things like that, you guys are always there with the answers. So thank you so much for supporting and being the strong backbone of AZR for all these years.
And, really being the reason why we do this.
Oh, yeah. Now, as far as Darren's comment about more awake host, I hear the yawning, so that may not...
Yeah. I was just saying, what are you talking about yawning? My allergies are driving me nuts.
Oh, I thought you were yawning.
Now, do you have any idea how dusty it is down here?
Yes, I was down there.
No, no, when you were here, it was raining. We haven't seen rain in like 2-3 weeks.
The answer is too much. And John in the chat, proving your point, today is Kristen McGuire's birthday. She's the voice of Hitoshi Sasaki in Devil is a Part-Timer Season 2, Erika Kosei in
Kaguya-sama, Love is War.
Kaguya-sama, Love is War.
Yui in both Fury, you in Fire Force, and Milliam in Slime.
Best girl in Slime.
And that's a lineup right there.
Oh yeah, and very talented actress. We were lucky enough to have her as a guest on the show early in her career. She's been extremely busy, so we've been trying to get her back on the show, but scheduling just has not worked out in our favor yet. But at some point, I know she's expressed interest in wanting to come back on. It's just finding time, which a lot of voice actors are running into that. So, I know this weekend also was the Pop Cult Anime Con.
Yep.
Which we hope all of our friends who were there had a good time. I saw some pictures. I know Hatake and Sahara, our good cosplaying friends, enjoyed being there as guests. They put on quite a few panels and everything. And
I contemplated going out, but was not up for it. Ended up just opting not to because
I wouldn't have been able to because I was on a train.
You're on a train and I'm on a mower.
Yesterday I was on a train for 12 and a half hours. We did not make our destination, and the last half hour technically was in a van getting driven from the train to the hotel.
That doesn't sound good.
Yes. Federal law says working for the railroad, we can only go a maximum of 12 hours, and then we need a minimum mandatory 10-hour rest.
Well, that's good at least.
That is good. And Ross, go ahead and share the joke.
Okay. Ross says, I know we have like 2 months before Halloween, but got a Halloween joke for you. Fresh in his mind. So shoot, we're ready for a Halloween joke.
Pumpkin spice products are already in the supermarket.
Bleh.
Yesterday was our major we've been on vacation food shop. We just got back from vacation food shop. And all the fall stuff, all the pumpkin spice stuff was out.
Ross says, I'm bent backwards. My back is broken. Can you pull out my spine and tell me you got my back?
All right, Ross, that was a dad joke if ever I heard one.
And once you pull the spine out, you just tell them it's a flesh wound.
I'm not dead yet.
I feel happy. Okay, could you imagine Monty Python as an anime?
Oh God. I
That would actually be interesting.
I would watch it. I like Monty Python anyway.
As do I.
Imagine Monty Python and the Holy Grail anime edition. Studio Trigger, if you're listening, can you make that happen?
It would be Trigger.
Do you think Trigger would be the one that would do that?
It would be one of the big ones. It would have to be. I could see Mappa doing it.
Well, Mappa just wants her hands in everything.
Yeah.
Also fair. But
That might be something fun to try to do at some point. See if we could get a Japanese studio on the show. I mean, we got Bang Zoom. Doesn't hurt to ask.
Well, I almost had connections to a certain someone at one point in time, but I have not seen him online in like 2 to 3 years. So I know he's still on from time to time, but I haven't seen him.
fair. Ross has never seen Monty Python.
Monty
We
Python.
got to watch the Holy Grail. I think I forget. I think it was in an English class.
I got to. I've seen Holy Grail far too many times.
Same here. I have the DVD somewhere.
Yeah, same. But no, we watched it during a course titled Arthurian Literature. That was one of the movies we watched.
Just for kicks and giggles, or were you actually pulling stuff out of the video?
It was watch the movie and then a class discussion how basically what's the words I'm looking for here
Ridiculous it was.
class discussion pertaining to the lore and where this fits into the legend and all that nonsense.
Well, to be fair, I've lost count of how many anime have pulled their material out of lore and mythology and religion, or all of the above. High School DxD.
That's okay, Ross. Ross says he could try to watch it on Netflix, but he has a hard time sitting more than a few seconds and focusing, which a lot of people I know have issues like that, which
Oh yeah.
Monty Python is just, it's stupid British humor.
And not gonna lie, a lot of the British content just hits differently.
It's a dry humor, but I enjoy the crap out of it.
Yeah.
They used Downtown Abbey, I think it was called. Something used to air on PBS all the time, and it was one of those British sitcom type deals.
Oh, Downton Abbey is a serious one. Are you talking about Are You Being Served?
Oh, that
No.
was a great one.
No, maybe, I don't know.
But that
it
was
followed
more of a
there was an older British couple, and I don't know. I just remember seeing bits and pieces of British shows on PBS at one point in my life for quite a while, because every time I tried to watch my shows at the time when I was a kid, those would be followed immediately after, and I'm just like, I don't want to watch this stuff.
And hello to our new viewer who is here. It says, I'm Rissia. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but welcome.
And
John says, Angela, Attack on Titan, final season, the final chapters, part 1 dub will be on Toonami starting September 9th, but suggests that you still wait for the final season chapters, part 2, 3, 10, 20, 80, 5,000.
I have watched the entire thing subtitled. And two, this gets into a conversation I had with friends specifically about Attack on Titan and how it just needs to hurry up and end.
So Attack on Titan has finally reached the point of Pokemon, One Piece, Naruto, all these other long-running shows that just need to be finito.
Well, the thing is, there was a point where they could have ended it, and they didn't. And then they did a time jump, and it just,
It's going to turn into the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let's do the time warp again.
And at this point, I'm going to finish watching Attack on Titan because
you invested too much time into it thus far.
Exactly.
Yeah, so why not invest a little more?
Well, at this point, by the time it all comes out, it'll only be like another couple hours.
Yeah, but it might be close to the year 2028. Unlike some of the other long running shows out there, like One Piece, yes, it's got way too many episodes, but they have continued to put out episodes year in and year out. They're not taking a 2-year break like Attack on Titan has done multiple times and like, oh look, here's more.
Well, to be fair, everything went on a hiatus at some point between 2020 and 2022.
Just some for longer periods than others.
Well, yes, every studio was affected differently, but I don't. Well, man, we all lived through it. I had a, but, and another point that came up in conversation the other night was you try to. So, how many American comic book fans do we have in the chat, if any?
So it'll be a few seconds before the chat answers.
But
I can say that I have, outside of the comic books that some of our vending friends and indie comic creators have generously given me, I really have not read comics.
But so I have a lot of friends who enjoy comic books, and the conversation was, if you want to keep up with, like, we'll call it Marvel, you have to read like a bunch of different comic book series in a specific order. Otherwise, you don't get the entire story. While there's way too many episodes of Bleach, One Piece, etc., and a few others, it's all one big long story, and you don't need to go off to the side to read something else entirely. It's not some massive multiverse type of thing.
And then you have shows that will do, there's animes that will do spin-offs. Like, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon had a spin-off with Sword Oratoria, where they focused on Ice Wallenstein and her familia.
Or Sword Art Online with the whole Gun Gale thing.
The Gun Gale spin-off was awesome.
I mean, technically, you can even say Konosuba with the Mega Man spin-off, Data Live with the Data Bullet.
But you could watch almost any of these spin-offs that we're talking about without having seen the thing it stemmed from and not really miss anything.
No.
Like you said so yourself, you could watch the Mega Man spin-off before watching Konosuba and be perfectly fine.
Really, you could, and it would make you either love or hate Mega Man more. I thought it was great.
As opposed to things like Marvel and DC Comics, and even some of the lesser famous ones do the whole multiverse thing where you have to catch up with the story. Oh, Ross pointed out the fact that we both set up the stream tonight. Now, Ross, that was me not noticing that Doug already set it up, and I saw nothing set up, so I did that. Whoops.
Yeah, she had the tab open to check to see if something was set up, and then went off to do something else. And by the time she came back, still not seeing anything up, she set something up herself without refreshing, and so that's why it shows that there's two up there. But one of them got deleted. So.
Because
I didn't expect to be home in time, and I got home about 6:30 after getting my daughter to bed and taking a shower, cleaning up, and all that stuff. That was about 7:30, and I was like, "Oh, I have time to actually hop on the show and have some fun with all of you beautiful people." Although I will say, Angela, there is one anime that's an exception to the rule that would fit in with the Marvel universe.
What,
Fate.
the actual Suicide Squad anime coming out?
No, I was gonna say Fate. Even Giga can't put together a true Fate watch list. What order can you watch Fate in?
you
How do you
know
watch Fate?
you don't.
And Gundam, I've heard people talk about that. That's starting to get like that too.
Gundam,
There's another spin-off series kind of deal.
Gundam, you can watch specific ones and be fine and ignore others, but
It's kind of like shonen. Some you can watch some and you're fine, and ignore others.
you know,
You say that about any genre. Isekai, some are fine, and then you ignore others.
most are crap. Let's be real, most isekai are mediocre at best.
I will admit that there's a
You
lot
get no,
of crappy
you get
isekai.
no argument from me.
And as I've stated before many a times on the show, I have gotten to the point of I enjoy watching isekai. I also enjoy making fun of them, so I try to watch them to see how bad they are or how good they are. In some cases, you get surprised.
Or you watch them to see how ridiculous they are, hoping to jump all over them for being ridiculous, and then they actually surprise you at being actually decent.
Vending
For what they
machine
are.
has no right being as good as it is. I will say that right now. Vending machines should not be as good as it is. I'm happy that it's been an entertaining and enjoyable email or anime with a different spin on it. But I'm also upset because I wanted to poke fun at it, saying it was going to be crap, and it's not. I blame Angela for that one.
Wait, why are we blaming me?
Because everything's your fault, ultimately.
That's fair.
Because I took it, I wanted to take an Angela approach to an anime and be like, this is going to be crap. I want to rag on it, and that turned out being good.
See, I went into Call of the Night with super high expectations, and that was the one that disappointed me.
It's all good. At least you could agree with us on the art. Like the biggest selling points to me was the artwork and the music. And the story to me was good, but I have a different taste in storylines than you do.
Yeah, and that's completely fair.
And when it came to that, I never said that like you were going to love the storyline. I hyped up the art and the music.
Yeah.
And to that you agreed. So that I was like, okay, I did my job. She gave it a shot. She agreed that the artwork and everything was great. She didn't care for the story, but.
And for me, story, for the most part, it's usually the story that tells me. That's my big deal breaker most of the time.
And in the chat room, talking about the Marvel Universe, comparing to anime, Ross says the anime freezing could be part of the Marvel Universe or Makenki due to the abilities and powers the characters have.
Really?
I mean, if you're going to say that, then My Hero.
One Punch.
Chainsaw Man. Okay, could you imagine Chainsaw Man versus like Superman? Or Green Lantern or something?
Unfortunately, for the most part, Chainsaw Man would be a no contest on a lot of things, getting their butts kicked, in my opinion. But then again, depends on which demon they're using to fight with.
And see, I suppose I'll just leave it as I thoroughly enjoyed Chainsaw Man. One Punch, on the other hand, is one that I just did not like, could not get past the second episode.
I didn't care for the concept, so I didn't even watch it.
Yet you didn't care for the concept, yet you watched My Hero. That's funny.
No, My Hero seemed interesting to me at first. I just got bored with it.
One Punch. Basically, I could see One Punch being the predecessor to My Hero for the fact that that was a time when the heroes were actually separated from society, and everybody was not special. Like One Punch actually separated the special in society from the average person, kind of like The Incredibles. If you wanted some kind of comparison to American media.
And my stance on like My Hero Academia, I've given credit to the creators to come up with like, the people who created My Hero to be able to come up with so many quirks for so many different characters. I think that was amazing. They deserve a ton of credit for that because, not everybody has the ability to be like, oh, I'm going to give this one. And even though it might seem like the stupidest little quirk or something kind of silly, everybody in that who has quirks, that they find ways of utilizing their quirks to their fullest ability, whether it be good or bad. There was a lot there.
I would argue, see, for me, One Punch Man basically, it might be how it was presented. It also might be where I was when I went to watch it. But it came off as too satirical and just everything I dislike about superheroes as a genre. My Hero was more closer to, in my opinion, for an American comparison to like young X-Men.
Teen Titans.
Never saw Teen Titans, so can't make the comparison, but it was also more of a it was more about the characters, and yeah, after a certain point the stories it definitely became your typical shonen tropes and arcs got repetitive.
And that's when you lose me. I think that's kind of why I like the isekais, because usually they're only one season. Yeah, there's some repetitive tropes, the overpowered, main character, the just stupidity that happens from them. But I think that's why I enjoy them so much. It's because I enjoy the random stupidity. And John in the chat room says Call of the Night Complete Collection Blu-ray will release on September 5th. He also has One Punch Man seasons 1 and 2 on Blu-rays and most of My Hero Academia Blu-rays. John, I can only imagine the extent of the Blu-ray collection you have for anime. You are always in the know on this stuff. I can only imagine that you have shelves of just anime Blu-rays and DVDs.
Probably puts mine to shame.
To answer Ross's question about did I ever see Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, the answer is no.
Oh, I have never even heard of that. What?
Same here.
Can you say that again 5 times fast?
Nope.
Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. That sounds like an animalistic version of Sailor Moon. I don't know.
I don't know.
Connor dressed as Sailor Moon? I don't know. I'm sure he has.
No, he did. He was dressed as a. I vaguely remember one of the cosplay streams that he did was something that at least looked like a Sailor Scout.
Oh, good
Whether
God.
or not it was, I don't know. I wasn't 100% paying attention.
And one thing that we talked about while you were gone, Angela, and I'm not sure if you've been watching this series or not. I think you're not, but is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Is one of those series that has gotten, like, we're on a season, my wife and I recently started watching season 4, and it has just continued to get better and better every season. Usually by this point I am bored of a show because it's gone on too long. But season 4 has been like, we thought season 3 was the best season thus far. Nah, season 4 has been even better. So I don't know if you have shows that you feel that way as they've gone on and it's gotten better. In my case, I find a lot of them get stale, but
The one for me that arguably got better as it went on, and hot take incoming, the better parts of Sword Art Online are the later arcs.
Yes, agreed. That's not. I think that's something that pretty much everyone can agree on.
There was at least one person who's actually said they disliked Alice.
But Alice was literally probably the best thing they've done for a character in a long time.
But the Alicization arcs, both of them, I would argue, was the best.
You are including War of the Underworld in that, right? Or no?
Yes. Hence the plural.
and I still stand by Bo Fury is what I was hoping Sword Art would have been.
Bo Fury is amazing, but it's very, very different.
I loved Angela's reaction when I came out with that the first time. That was the true hot take that I hid from everybody until I said it, and you got the pure Angela WTF moment.
Yep. But no, honestly, at this point, a lot of what I've been watching recently is like one season, maybe two, and then done. Outside of the ongoings like Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia.
And Ross says that was him who hated Alice. He dropped it before the war arc. Which you watch more of it than I did, Ross. I'll tell you that. I haven't gone back to SAO since the romance started between Kirito and Asuna. It's like episode 6 of season 1.
God, we could really do an entire show about just breaking down and hyper focusing on Sword Art, but I don't want to do that right now.
I mean, we could do entire shows breaking down and super analyzing a lot of shows. I mean, another series that ended up with a lot of different spin-offs include like certain Magical Index, which also turned into certain Scientific Railgun, a certain what was it for Accelerator? I don't remember. Accelerator had his own spin-off.
I believe Madoka got spin-offs as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine. As HH in the chat says, SAO is much better as a parody. You guys seriously need to watch SAO Abridged. And thank you, John. Certain Scientific Accelerator.
Now, to be fair, some of these abridged series are actually quite impressive.
And if I remember correctly, there will never be and Attack on Titan abridged.
It would take too long for them to finish it anyway.
I believe that was the one my friend said that was never getting done for a variety of reasons.
About to say, unless the studio put out a full-out legal threat against people that did, I mean, if someone got bored enough, I'm sure they would. Because boredom does amazing things to people. I mean, look at Team 4-Star.
I think I've seen them at Kineticon.
They actually got roles in the Dragon Ball anime at some point because of their abridged content.
All right. Changing gears. Are either of you guys doing a convention before the end of the year?
I am currently in talks with one, waiting to find out if we were able to get a table there or not, because switching jobs, I had to try to see if I could actually get the time off for PuchiCon, which it looks like I'm able to. Now it's just seeing if they have room for a table, because there is a wait list, I was told. So PuchiCon is still a good possibility. They're excited about having us there. They're just trying to figure out the logistics behind it and making sure that they can get everybody in there. They've still been announcing guests, which is crazy, and non-anime guests now too. So they're getting more into multi-genre.
That does not surprise me.
In fact, let me see here. Raphael Luce is the newest guest. I have no idea who he is. 16-year-old Franco-American actor, born in Vermont, raised in France. He is known for his role as young Henry Creo, 001 Vencina in Stranger Things Season 4. He was also seen on Loki and the First Lady. So that is one of the latest voice actor announcements. They also announced Piper Rubio from Five Nights at Freddy's. So those are amongst the guests. Josephia Love from, says, General Hospital. Also, Neo Japanism. Looks like it's a musical guest for PuchiCon up in Pennsylvania. I say up because I'm south of there now. And that was all stuff that was taken off of their Instagram page. So hopefully we're able to make it. I do know that Casey Fox will be vending at AAC again this year. I will not be there because that's the same weekend as PuchiCon, so I will either be in Pennsylvania or working. And John Knight in the chat says Bob Barker died yesterday.
Yep.
Yep.
The running gag is he got the closest to $1 without going over.
Oh, good guy. But the worst part was I thought he had already passed.
Ironically enough, this is gonna sound strange, but Bob Barker is still living. At least the Bob Barker here, because ironically, my the town I lived in, Fuquay, that you pass through,
Yep.
has a Bob Barker too, and his corporation, the Bob Barker Corporation, is their facility and warehouse is based in Fuquay, and they do a bulk of the nation's. They're a supplier for most of the nation's prisons.
Interesting.
Anything from the I think the soap, the furniture, the textiles, a lot of stuff.
And
And yes,
Ross in the chat said Harley Quinn's voice actor passed away as well yesterday.
at 67, I think.
Lots of deaths. I think there was a couple in the music world that passed away recently too.
The WWE too.
Yep.
Was it Terry Factor or something like that? Was one of the WWE that just passed?
There was a 70-something-year-old and then a 30-something-year-old.
Bray Wyatt was the young one from the
WWF.
yeah, because he was born in 1987.
I haven't watched wrestling in so long. I think the most recent wrestling anything I watched was the wrestling isekai anime.
I have a lot of friends who enjoy AEW and WWE. So if like when we do social things, if it's on in the background, I end up somewhat watching it.
I watched the WWE up until like 2005, 2006. I want to say right around the time I started middle school is when I started falling off of it.
See, I never really paid any attention to it at all. I knew the big names from the 80s because, because merchandise.
Oh yeah.
And kids in my class when I was in like grade school had like Hulk Hogan this and
Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage, Macho Man.
And then after a certain point, I didn't know any of the names and then started hanging around with people that enjoyed it. And I got invited to social things where that would be playing in the background.
And a fun fact, apparently one of the higher ups at the rail yard that I'm at used to be a professional wrestler and actually had a match against Razor Ramon. His name is Steve Smith, Smyth, which I have yet to go on YouTube and look up his match, but apparently you can find it there. And yes, for us, I was talking about Kimono Michi, and Nico and Koshi Game Playing Idiots said watched it a lot in 2012, 2013, back when they were a kid.
Is it bad that I think the last bit of anime wrestling I saw might have been Girls Bravo?
You didn't watch Kimono Michi?
Nope.
I figured that one would be up your alley for just how stupid it was, and it was an isekai.
No, I watched the one where the guy went to school with the anthropomorphs. Remember? He was one of the only humans in the whole school.
Oh, yeah. A knockoff of Rosario Vampire.
Yeah. Only those were actual animals, not yokai.
Oh, I remember which one you were talking about.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, though.
I don't remember the name of it, but I know I watched it, and I remember like the music to it was really good.
Yeah.
Ross in the chat says Hulk Hogan crept him out with his movie The Nanny. I think Hulk Hogan creeped a lot of people out. Always wanting you to eat your vitamins and say your prayers, brother. He called everybody brother, even the women. So in his eyes, Angela's his brother.
Meh. That's one of those.
Nowadays, you'd never know.
I mean, we saw a lot of wrestlers even at GalaxyCon. They had a bunch of them.
Yep. I forgot about the Hardy Boys. I'm not
I
gonna
did
lie.
too.
Wait, they were there?
Yeah, Jeff and Matt were.
Damn.
Yeah, the Hardy Boys were there. Because I grew up watching, like, my favorite tag team when I was really big into it in the 80s was the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
When I was watching it, a lot of the big names. Let's see, Eddie Guerrero, Batista, The
Yep.
Undertaker, Kane.
Yep.
Let's
Paul
see.
Bearer.
Umaga, Big Daddy V, The Big Show, of course.
And Ross, to answer your question, yes, Seton Academy joined the pack.
Thank you.
I kind of want to go back and rewatch that again, but I have to wait a little bit because when you move and you change information on your credit card, you then suddenly learn about all the accounts that are linked to your debit card as they expire and won't renew. So I need to wait. I have some other bills I need to pay before renewing my High Dive subscription. But I did enjoy Seton Academy. That was pretty good. I know I've talked about that on the show years ago when that came out. And apparently I'm already getting a reputation of being an anime nerd at work.
I wonder why.
Which I find humorous because I've only worked with a few different crews, and a couple of them that like anime were like, I thought I knew anime. God, he blows me out of the water. It's like, not so much I like anime. I just found a kind of a neat way of getting involved in the anime community. And again, saying that we have some of the best fans out there, always with the information. Ross with the title of the show that I couldn't remember twice now. Now, as far as anime that we are currently watching, I am behind on 2 shows. I did catch up on Temple, and my unique skill makes me OP even at level 1. And I am caught up on Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence and the vending machine. So I am only behind on Classroom for Heroes and Am I Actually the Strongest? Darren has watched 2 animes.
So I'm getting there.
He's getting there. And Angela has been gone for 2 weeks and is slowly but surely catching up.
I caught up with Masamune Kun's Revenge and season 2 and Jobless Reincarnation, which I will still say is I can see why it was the original isekai. It is one of the best isekai out there. And you should watch it, Doug. And Angela, you should at least give it a try.
I mean, even my wife said that it is a really, really good isekai. And of the 4 of us, I think my wife has the closest interest in animes to Angela.
I I can see that. I mean, I definitely share Angela's taste a little bit more than you. But
Angela and I are like day and night, just complete opposites, except for a
Yep.
couple of little things that fall at dusk.
One of which is coming back before the year is over, if I remember correctly, although it might be the start of next year.
and with this one I've watched, I'm assuming not.
This is, I was referencing, we're getting new Spy Families sooner rather than later.
Okay, so it's one all three of us watched. I thought it
Yeah.
was one that just you two had watched.
I don't know how many of those exist.
Although I will say, Angela, you like the romance slice of life stuff, don't you? A little bit.
It depends. It depends on it depends on the writing.
Watch Kaguya.
Because there is one that I wasn't gonna watch, but my wife and I were looking for animes to watch together, and it sounded appealing, so we decided to give it a shot. And that is that Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence. It didn't sound like much, but we gave it a shot, and it's actually been really cute. It's had kind of a cute storyline to it. The only downfall is I think, Darren, that we found somebody who is even dumber and more naive or more oblivious than what's his name from Infinite Stratos?
Ichika?
Ichika. I think this guy might give Ichika a run for his money.
What about there was another dense guy that we used to always talk about. Was it the guy from Rent a Girlfriend or
Well, he's kind of an idiot too, but that's a totally different.
who was it that watched Horimiya? Was it your wife?
I think so.
That is top tier romance.
Without giving away any spoilers on Tenpudo Temple, it kind of got a bit of a twist in there that I wasn't expecting, which I was starting to get bored with it, and then they threw a twist in on this most recent episode, which I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting again. It seemed like a cool, little rom-com, etchy, but there's some deviousness in there, and I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. It caught my attention last night when I was catching up on that one.
And did I get you to add Darwin's Game to your list? I think I did.
That one wasn't you. That's on my to watch list, and that's been on my to watch list for a long time.
Was it us trying to get you to watch? Was it me trying to get you to watch Mirai Nikki?
I don't know that one.
The Future Diary?
I don't remember.
That one I started and was like, this is a little messed up for even me.
You think?
Yeah.
But Darwin's Game has been on my list. I have a lengthy want to watch list.
I do remember that I recommended Noir to you because that was it wasn't like my typical style of anime. It's an older one, but the action in that was fantastic.
I remember that.
I never finished it, but I saw quite a few episodes, and I don't remember why I didn't finish it. If it was just like moving or something was keeping me from finishing it. Now, thinking back to some of the older animes and stuff that like got us interested in anime, looking at them now, do you think that they still hit the same, or that some of them are like it's just not as good as I remember it being?
I got several that do hit the same, honestly. And probably because of what they were at the time. Especially considering my second anime, I believe was Shuffle, and
True.
that one gets me every time.
Shuffle is one of those animes that is like I've watched it multiple times and it's still just as good now as it was then.
See, for me, the one that I remember being one of my earliest ones, if I were to go back and watch it now, given what it is, I know it would not hit the same because it's Serial Experiments Lane. And given how technology based it is and where technology was when that came out versus where it is now, would not hit the same.
But I would really be curious. 'Cause I always remember my first 5 anime. The first one was not Kaze no Stigma. It was Chrome Shelled Regios, so apocalyptic end of the world type show. Um, really good. Second one was Shuffle. Third one was Kaze no Stigma. Fourth one is probably one of my favorite school anime of all time, and
Conception.
and what was that? What show did you say?
He said conception while I had water in my mouth and I almost choked on it.
You failed, Doug.
We almost
No.
got a spit take out there
No,
unintentionally.
Baka and Tess.
That's where I figured you were going, but I had to throw the conception out there because I saw a golden opportunity for a spit take.
Now,
There you
the first anime that I ever watched was El Hazard, which I don't even really remember much of anything beyond the gratuitous fan service. Largely because my friend and I had to get creative with how we were hiding that from when my then 4-year-old sister snuck into the room. After that, it was Serial Experiments Lane. Not sure if we're gonna. The next would be Grave of the Fireflies. 4 would be Dragon Ball, which I absolutely hated.
Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball GT?
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball was probably the best of the whole franchise.
I absolutely hated it. Though in my defense, a person I was involved with at the time, basically, he kind of forced me to watch it.
That was one series I'll never forget. That I would be watching, and my dad would walk in, and he'd actually stand there and watch it with me. And he actually started learning a bit about the show. And now that he's gone, it actually makes the show mean a little bit more to me simply for that reason.
That's understandable. Definitely understandable.
Yep.
Early on for me it was like Inuyasha, and I've gone back and tried to rewatch Inuyasha, and I think Inuyasha it has more meaning because it was an early anime and to me getting into the anime genres and enjoying the anime culture, but it's not good. Going back and rewatching it, it's not as good as I thought it was way back.
And I think that's a big part of it. Like we've talked about this a lot over over time, but like Doug, when you and I were first getting into anime, there was so little available in the States, and a lot of it you had to import. And if you didn't know somebody, you basically got what little was
Shown on TV.
shown on TV at weird hours or
eBay.
randomly available at Suncoast based on what the store manager could get at that point. And subsequently, between 1996 and 2004, I basically only got to see what friends showed me. And not all of it I enjoyed.
Yeah, School Days was an early one for me, and I did not like it started off good, and the ending just killed it for me. I was like, nope, this was
the last,
the last
two
two
episodes.
episodes.
Yep.
I mean, he got what he deserved, but it still was just like, this show is pretty. Why'd you have to go and ruin it?
And then another one of my early anime was As Mangadao, and the sub. This is one of the instances where the sub was significantly better for me than the dub because of one specific casting choice.
It's understandable. I mean, I know many people who, they've watched shows in both English and Japanese, and they're like, man, even I've seen shows where it's like, man, I don't think they chose the right person for that character.
Yep.
Like, by default, as a default, I tend to watch things subtitled, and that's not just anime. Like, if I'm watching, like, at one point, I was watching a lot of Chinese and Korean live action dramas on Netflix because they were there and I had nothing better to watch.
Yeah, German Schweitzer film.
And I would just watch all of that subtitled.
For the longest, I think my first 20, 30 anime were all dubbed. And then I was recommended an anime by a classmate that I think it was a classmate that was only available in subtitle because at the time I was trying to find the most ecchi anime. High School DxD was recommended to me by a classmate, and around the time I started exploring subbed anime almost exclusively after watching To Love Ru, because at the time To Love Ru did not have a dub.
And To Love Ru is so good.
And that's
it's stupid, but stupidly good.
But
I just love how the first season actually had a story to it, and then everything afterwards, not so much.
And then the first one I watched start to finish dub only was Cowboy Bebop much later.
I still haven't seen Cowboy Bebop though.
You should. It's a class. It's a classic.
I know.
I'm not gonna say it's like the best thing ever because it's.
Is it one? It's just one of the most nostalgic.
It's not even. I didn't watch it. For me, it's not nostalgic. It's a space western. At its core, it's a space western. It's fun. It's fun. It's a classic. But depending on how you define good, that's debatable. It's arguably one of my favorites.
I don't think I've ever watched Cowboy Bebop either. I've seen Trigun, the original. I haven't watched the new one.
I highly recommend Stampede. Stampede was actually very, very good. If you go in expecting it to be a redo of the original, you'll be disappointed. It is
Nothing like the original. It's its own entity.
It is its own entity. It is very well done.
And time to make Angela feel old. John Knight says Cowboy Bebop is 25 years old.
Wow.
Wait a minute.
So it's 2 years younger than me.
When did that?
1998, I'd assume.
By the time I watched that, it was almost 2020.
You know, to be fair, do you know what I've always found interesting about anime?
What's that?
Most of the long-running anime that are currently in production now all aired in 1996, the year I was born. Detective Conan, 1996. Pokemon, 1996. Yu-Gi-Oh, 1996. One Piece, if I'm not mistaken, 1996.
Now I feel old. And
Cowboy Bebop came out in 98. You know what else happened in 1996, Darren?
Go ahead.
what?
The Olympics were held in Atlanta, Georgia.
You know what else happened in 1996? I started high school.
I graduated high school in 1996.
I was born in 1996.
There's our generation gap right there. But
One Piece anime released in 1999 in Japan. Cowboy Bebop.
I thought it was 96 for some reason.
Cowboy Bebop came out in 98. Ross says he was 5 in 96.
He's not much older than me.
Darren, you're still the baby of the show, though.
Yeah, I know. Mario, where do you fall in this generational? Or is he still here?
I'm not sure. Mario has not talked much.
he had some comments very early on and then might have left.
Because it is quite the time difference between the UK and here, which we love our UK audience. When you guys come on, we really do appreciate it. It means the world to us. Pop Girl, I think, came on last week.
Yep.
Which she hadn't been around for a while, so hopefully things are going good for her. I know she said she recently started a new job and it's going to be working hard to make money to be able to come back to the States for more conventions. Her next time that she comes to the US, she wants to be in the northern states. So maybe New England, New York, maybe Pennsylvania. Who knows?
You consider North Carolina north? No, right?
No.
Carolina is the South.
But it says north in the title.
Yeah, but
yes.
I think you would be closer to her when she was in Texas this year than if she went up to Boston.
People should come to Boston.
Yeah, get out of Pennsylvania. Go to no. I can't say that. I've always loved coming to PA. I've always wanted to live in Pennsylvania, and I'm happy to have the chance to be out here. Still out in farm country. There's cornfields everywhere.
Yeah, all our farm country around here, as I'm sure you noticed, is kind of dwindling.
Yeah.
Farm country.
With all the farm country out here, we got the juice.
Farm country? What's that?
Cranberries.
Tobacco.
No, I'm being given how city I live. I was being sarcastic.
Oh, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Shazy was big farm country up in New York where I was working, but man, there are literally cornfields everywhere around me.
My
Are there-
mom and dad, when they went to Indiana for a funeral for someone on my dad's side of the family, when they passed Indiana, there was literally cornfields everywhere.
uh, having done the drive from north of Boston to Indianapolis, I can attest to that. There was a stretch of drive that was literally nothing but cornfields.
And down here, it used to be all tobacco fields. Everywhere you turn, tobacco, tobacco,
I
tobacco,
actually
tobacco.
remember that because we used to drive to South Carolina,
R.J. Corman was down there.
You
and
said
Not
RJ.
R.J. Corman.
Well,
I
yeah, RJ Corman is the one that took over the railroads around here.
I am attempting to make sense of Ross's comment.
I looked at that and I wasn't gonna give it. I wasn't even gonna try.
Let me see it because I can't see it unless it's something you don't want to put up. Are the
So-
trials or highs or horses at mid? Huh?
Is that
I
something to do with Boston?
Boston.
Boston trials, Boston horses, Boston pie,
I
Boston cream.
Oh, okay. Boston cream pie,
Okay, that makes
Salem
sense.
witch trials, horses at midnight. Two arms, two arms.
Okay.
all right. I
Okay, I understand it now.
I am not a fan of Boston cream pie.
Neither am I.
Yeah.
Apparently, out here, there's an Amish treat that's called shoe fly pie, and it's
I've
made
heard of
with
it.
molasses and stuff.
I've had it. It is if you.
Very, very sweet.
It was disgustingly sweet and way too sweet for my palate.
Can't be any worse. My dad, his coworker was from India, and he brought some sweets back from his country, and oh my God, one of the things he brought back, I believe, was incredibly. I was like, how do you eat this?
But
We need our weekly visit from a cat.
Hello, Haru.
hello, Haru.
I've been gone for 2 days, so she's needs her visit time and loves.
So where's Nines?
Um, he was down here a little while ago. Oh, he is in his cat tree.
Oh, cats actually use that?
Some do.
Let's see here if I can move stuff around. I can turn this a little bit. And
Oh, I see him.
there he is, right there.
How long did it take him to adjust to the new place?
Haru, it took not very long at all. Ainz, because he's a skittish boy anyway, took him quite a bit. Also, he went from New York to a week in my parents' basement, and they have 4 dogs, and 3 of them are German Shepherds. So
he felt right at home.
So him being a skittish boy like he is, he freaked out there. And about the time he started to get comfortable there, it was okay. Put him back in the crate, and now he's moving into this apartment. So, but I think they like the fact that they have stairs because they're pains in the asses in the middle of the night, chasing each other up and down the stairs, yelling. Heinz has decided that the TV screen is constantly dirty and has to sit there pawing at it to clean it. Which we need to get glass cleaner still so we can clean his paw prints off of there. That way we don't see smudges when we're trying to watch anime or anything else.
Well,
Yep.
to be fair, I got a giant crack in my screen, but I've gotten so oblivious to it that I can't even tell it's there because it's that well hidden.
Is it that well hidden, or you're focusing more on your Dakimakras?
No, it's more like it's in the bottom right-hand corner and most of the action's in the center of the screen. And also with the right lighting, you really can't tell.
And I won't lie, having actually seen Darren's Dakimakras in person, he's got quite the impressive collection.
It's no wonder I fall asleep on the regular.
Yep.
He's got 5 good-sized body pillows that he surrounds himself with. I think anybody would fall asleep in that, regardless of what was on them.
Yep. I was having that discussion with someone else today. I was like, it doesn't matter the case covering it. It's the concept of the pillow itself. Because, I mean, be honest. Who do you know sleeps with only one pillow in the bed? Not very many people.
I am one of those people.
You sleep with only one pillow in the bed. How?
I have one. I have one pillow for me, and if there's more than that, it gets shoved away.
So at the hotel, she'll just take pillows off the bed and be like, "Okay, I got mine."
If
These extra ones here.
if they're really really tiny ones, I'll stack 2 of them. But at a hotel, but not usually. Usually, it's I just throw them at whoever is there and be like, "Yeah, it's yours now."
Yeah, she gets violent with the pillow fights.
Okay.
That has been known to happen from time to time.
We'll have to put that. I'll have to see that one for myself.
Road trip.
Oh God.
You're hosting, Angela.
I am hosting Jack and shit in this tiny little house.
Yeah, knowing my luck, I'd end up being the host because I actually have the space for it.
Pretty much. But at some point, hopefully within the next year or so, we'll be able to try to get everybody to a convention for the first time. I think that would be a lot of fun. Because I've been lucky enough now, I've been to conventions with Angela and conventions with Darren. And they both think I'm nuts for how much running around and talking about the show that I do.
And
not so much nuts, just overwhelming to a fault sometimes.
Oh, up here, sometimes you have to be. I think because of
down
New England cons and stuff. That's just the New Englander in me coming out.
Yeah, down south of.
There is definitely a northeast culture versus a southern culture.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. I'll never forget that it used to be a whole big thing when a lot of the northerners were moving down here. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Used to drive them crazy, and many of them still does. They're like, do not call me that.
I have been called ma'am when I was down south visiting my mom by people, and it is a thing I do not like, but at the same time, if it's I know where it's coming from, and therefore I'm just, if it's at like in a coffee shop or something, I'm just gonna kind of ignore it.
Because down here it's a respect thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, shut up.
That was funny.
Yes, it was.
Good job, AJ. Oh, that's that threw me off a little bit there.
Welcome to
I want you to get this.
welcome to
Welcome to Sunday Night Live with
I just put the head up.
Welcome to Anime-Zing Radio, the original trash taste.
and you know, and
At some point, somebody's going to clip us saying that and send it to them, and they're going to have words for us, or they're going to start
Hey,
talking
look.
about us.
hey, publicity is publicity. It don't matter.
and you know what? That would get interesting.
Whether if they're talking good or bad, at least they're talking.
Exactly. Any form of publicity is good publicity nowadays.
Except unless it's us getting canceled.
Because cancel culture is a thing.
Yup.
That's why we try to keep it fun here. You know, we're three anime fans and three pop culture fans that just have a chance to get together on Sunday nights and talk with amazing people throughout the world, whether they're guests on the show or the people in the chat room. You know, we just have fun.
Or just bore each other amongst ourselves.
Or we wait till Darren gets really, really tired and starts mumbling random nonsense.
Oh
Like I
wait,
said, it starts around the 1 hour mark last.
I was going to say we haven't hit that point yet. Kidding. Granted, I think we've been going off on random nonsensical tangents for a while.
Well, there's a difference between random nonsensical tangents and stuff where you don't even realize what you're saying.
Oh, I know.
Well, I've never been drunk, so I don't know if I get talkative when I'm drunk or not.
When I drink, I tend to have two settings. I either get very quiet and just kind of get all introspective and then I fall asleep, or I get really loud, really obnoxious, and even less filters. And even less regard for language.
Anything.
Yeah, anything really.
I didn't realize you had filters.
I try to be mindful of the
Certain
people
things.
I'm around.
And you know, it's funny to, you know, all of us have such different personalities, different upbringings, different areas we've lived in, and everything. And I think this show is a good example that anime really is just for everybody, whether old or young, whether it doesn't matter what part of the world you live in. There really is something for everybody in the anime culture. Cosplayers and the artists and the gamers and the musicians and
everybody has the thing that they look for.
Yep. And probably the biggest thing that anime crosses everybody in all age groups will still be the story from when you went to go see the Girls in Panzer movie, Doug. Because how old was that gentleman?
He actually was a World War II vet.
So to put it in perspective, people, that's quite the age gap.
Yeah.
Because World War II
Was it like
1940s.
And if he was old enough to serve, then he would have been 18. So he would have been born in the 20s. So that would make him close to 100.
Unless he lied about his age, and even then,
he still was well up there. I would have guessed, because Girls in Panzer came out. I think the film came out. Let me look this up.
2013, 2014, 2015.
2015. So the anime came out in 2012. The movie came out 2015. So 2015, it was in the theaters.
So he had to at least been 88-ish, 89.
I was gonna say he looked like he was in his 80s or 90s.
And
So that would make sense.
That would make very much sense.
Because he drove tanks. And he couldn't get over how realistic the tanks looked in that. And I'll say to hear those tanks firing off in a theater with the surround sound and stuff was just amazing.
I mean, when Ghibli did Ghibli did the re-release for, well, they did a few of them, but Spirited Away was one of the ones. It was,
such a good movie.
The re-release was right around my birthday. So that's what we did. So I got to go see it in theaters, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of those Ghibli movies are just so good. Princess Mononoke was really good.
I still haven't seen the entirety of Mononoke.
My friend, who's not much of a, I mean, he's an anime fan, but nowhere near to the extent I am. He always brings up Mononoke as one of his first or favorite anime that he watched.
Mononoke has there is a funny story. My friend brought over their copy of it, and our PS2 basically stopped playing the disc about halfway through the movie. Years upon years later, we tried to watch that again with a completely different DVD player. The same thing happened. We got about halfway through and nope, you're not finishing this.
Was it an official copy or was it a bootleg?
It allegedly an official copy.
I would complain.
Granted now I can just go to, I think it's HBO. It's either HBO or Disney, and I have access to both. So
yeah, I'm not sure. We had the DVD, and that's how I had watched it. Because we have a lot of the Ghibli DVDs.
You know, ironically, I don't think I've seen any Ghibli movies. I know of them, but I don't think I've ever seen them.
I cannot. The two that I would recommend highly: Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle.
I kind of figured those.
I was going to say the same too. Actually, Kiki's Delivery Service too.
Yep.
The reason I can't say Kiki's is because I haven't seen it.
Kiki's was adorable.
Was Grave of the Fireflies Ghibli?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't remember. I don't think it was.
Grave of the Fireflies hit me very hard for many reasons, one of which was because of how much we'd had to drink, and that's why they put it on.
Oh, no, it was animated by Studio Ghibli.
I couldn't remember.
But
it says Grave of the Fireflies is a 1988 Japanese animated war tragedy film based on a 1967 short by Akiyuki Nosaka, was written and directed by Isao Takahata, and animated by Studio Ghibli.
it's animated by Ghibli, but not Ghibli Studios.
That makes sense.
Not produced.
It's not like a Ghibli. It's not a Ghibli original.
Yes, thank you. I knew what I was trying to say. It made sense in my head.
Now, did any of y'all ever try to watch any of the Makoto Shinkai films?
No, I don't think I've ever heard of it.
I knew.
Your Name was the big one he did.
Oh,
I have not seen Your Name.
Your Name is one multiple people have told me I need to watch, and I have just not gotten around to it.
It got snubbed at the Oscars, I think, because to this day, Best in Film, Spirited Away is the only anime ever to win an Oscar.
Spirited Away was just a fantastic film.
Agreed. However, bet you dollars to donuts the reason it won the award is because guess who distributed that movie?
Disney.
And when it comes to animated films and the Academy Awards, Disney almost always wins.
You know, speaking of, sorry, kind of going back to animated films here in the Americas, something interesting got brought up. The early 2000s art and animation, I think it was from Pixar, was just fantastic, and then something happened. Like, think about it, the way the Prince of Egypt was done, the Road to El Dorado, all of that was done in a completely different art form that was just incredible. And then it's like they ventured away from that art form. Do y'all ever really notice that?
Not with those ones. I have not seen those ones specifically, but there is definitely a distinctive difference I noticed between the classic Disney animated movies versus the Pixar Disney movies.
Or were they Pixar? They might have been. I'm trying to remember who did them, but it may not have been Pixar.
I don't remember Road to El Dorado being Disney at all.
It's not. That's my point.
That might be DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Because
EA DreamWorks.
Because there was another.
Yeah, Universal Pictures and DreamWorks. That's right.
Because DreamWorks animated movies had a very different art style than Disney animated movies, and Pixar was just kind of starting to be a thing.
And then they stole the lamp from Brave Little Toaster and used it as their mascot. Tell me I'm wrong.
Okay, my bad. The Prince of Egypt was a DreamWorks. Yep, they had something going on, and then it's just like it all.
Because if I remember correctly, nope, I'm going to look this up before I say that because I never get this right.
And for once, she doesn't want to open mouth, insert foot.
Yeah, okay, I have the correct movie. No, I don't want to play the trailer.
You just want to know who did it.
I just want to know the production company, for crying out loud.
We really have gone all over the place tonight, haven't we? But, yeah.
Okay. The one I was thinking of that came out slightly before the ones you're talking about is Anastasia, and production company 20th Century Fox. Because DreamWorks was a big one. Let's see.
While Angela's looking that up, on a side note, I do want to take a moment to wish all the kids out there, good first days of school. I know it's about that time of year where kids go back.
Yep.
My daughter starts kindergarten on Tuesday.
Yay!
Our kids go back tomorrow.
I will be very honest about this. It was a really weird feeling to go to a school again, considering the fact that I haven't really had a reason to go to a school since 1996 for anybody that was like blood family. And feeling like my daughter is growing up to the point where she is starting school was very like, oh my God, she's growing up feeling. It's a weird feeling as a parent.
But yep.
Figuring it out.
Yeah, no, I looked up. I was looking up various animated movies that I knew were not Disney. And Anastasia is the only one that I know from that late 90s, early 2000s era that is not DreamWorks or Disney. But Darren brings up a very good point about how you can definitely, if you look back at it, not that I think any of us put this together then, but if you look back at some of these movies now, you can definitely tell the studio, even in American animation, just by the art styles.
Yeah. I mean, you could even probably go back to and compare things like Tom and Jerry and Bugs Bunny and, you know, Flintstones and stuff and be like, okay, well, that one's a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. That one's Warner Brothers. That one's, you know, just by the art style as well. If you're thinking about it, it's kind of, you know, I never thought about it like that.
Nor did I.
Damn you, people making us think this late at night on a Sunday.
But I mean, the classical animation versus Pixar has been a conversation I've had many times. But I never actually thought about any of them beyond that.
And in the anime world, it's kind of neat to see how art styles have changed through the years. I mean, you go back and you look at mid 90s, you know, mid late 90s, early 2000s animes compared to what's come out recently, and the art style is so different. Even Yasha, if you compare Yashahime to the original Inuyasha, it still had that nostalgia feel from, you know, growing up with Inuyasha and knowing that story and seeing this as a continuation from it. But it's the artwork, even though it looked similar, you could still tell was very different.
And I'm not gonna go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, you can see a difference between, you know, using frames, you know, the animated cells and doing one cell after another, as opposed to computer animation and everything else that the technology they have now to put these animes together.
The 1990s and the early 2000s, just looking back even on the anime side, the art just seemed to be greater attention to detail. Like, I love it when people compare the new Dragon Ball series to the old Dragon Ball series, comparing their forms and how much detail was put into them. And the 90s and 2000 versions had a lot more detail and thought put into them. But then again, like you said, a lot of companies went from drawn cells to computer generated images. So it was a transition of art per se.
And the detail you can get while with the technology, you can get a lot of detail. It's going to be very different using things like using computer as opposed to hand drawing everything. It's just not going to look the same.
And you can kind of see that, like, go to a convention, whether it's anime or Comic-Con or some kind of pop culture convention, and just walk through Artist Alley and look at the difference between a digital artist and somebody who uses pencils or markers or things of that nature, and you can see the difference. And it could be a subtle difference, and even if it's something that started off hand drawn and then put into a digital platform to be colored or whatever, I mean, you can see that there's a difference in style between a digital as opposed to a hand drawn or fully completed by hand art piece. And technology has gotten so much better now where, you think back in the 90s, early 2000s with early paint shop and stuff like that, and the things that you could do. And there are people who have perfected it to where they can create some absolute masterpieces of art. But it still would look different if they were able to complete that same masterpiece freehand, just using pencils and pens and ink and things of that nature. Because I'm sure you've noticed that at conventions, Angela and Darren.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. My friend, one of my high school DxD admins, he is an artist, and he used to do and still does a large majority of all of his stuff by hand. And he's had to learn how to use the digital drawing features over the past couple of years to continue his art, and it's amazing the difference. And then of course my friend Hughes in the Philippines, that his art is on a whole nother level. It's quite incredible.
It's definitely a talent, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm judging one art style over another, especially where my wife's an artist and I can see the difference between, the hand-drawn stuff and the digital stuff, and everything is fantastic.
One could argue that we're ultimately comparing apples to oranges, that both digital art and hand-drawn art are
Quote unquote art.
it's all the artists, regardless of what format they use, are talented. It's just a different skill set, and
different media.
And art as a whole is subjective, and we could all three look at the same print and see three very, very, very different things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely. And it is kind of neat, and I know that we bring artists on all the time. In fact, we need to reach out to more guests here. I got to find the time to reach out to people and see if we can book some more guests for the show, because it's been a few weeks since we've had anybody on. The Token with the Dead guys when Angela was gone, and we don't have anybody lined up for a while, but we'll see what we can do about bringing on some more cool people. Maybe we'll reach out to our friends Hatake and Sahara, since they were just at Pop Cult, and see how their time went. They might have some good stories for us. I also have to look at my schedule to see if I'd actually be off. Or Sundays I would be off to have them on.
Getting a Sunday off must be nice.
My current schedule, outside of days where we have classroom training, it's take a train out and back. So like it's one day out, next day back, day of rest. And that's how my schedule is right now for training. And hello, Sherry Chen. Is Tia a good guest? Tia Ballard was amazing, if that's who you're referring to. We would love to have Tia back on the show. I know she has been extremely busy with stuff going on in her career and things of that nature. But Tia Ballard was our first ever guest here on Anime-Zing Radio just about 9.5 years ago. She is such a sweetheart. I've had the honor of meeting her once, and she's been on the show 2 or 3 times. Love the work that she's done. I think I've said countless number of times that I feel like 02 was Tia Ballard's best. Like the best I've heard her do for voice acting was 02. Granted, my favorite character of hers is Mizure.
Agreed.
But her work at 02 was fantastic.
Speaking of which, were you surprised to not see her as part of my collection?
Mizure?
No, 02.
Oh, 02? No. I wasn't really surprised to see that she wasn't part of your collection. I figured that in time she will be.
Maybe. I think I bought a 02 Daki and sent it to my friend many years ago. I think that's what happened. I don't remember.
So you have bought one. So that
Yep.
you just didn't keep it. What you need to do is you need to find like one of the most outrageous character Dakimakras and then just send it to Ange.
I can do that.
How about a red panda?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we sending me a red panda?
Because
because we're just being silly.
Fair.
But we are almost out of time. We're getting late. I know that we are tired. It's been long weeks for all of us. Any other topics you want to touch on before we say goodnight to all of these wonderful people?
I could bring this full circle and just, like I was saying before we went live, being overseas, geek culture shops, anime, manga, figures, the shops are all so very different and yet so the same at the same time. And we walked into a store, I think it was Athens, and I was surprised by, well, one, all the manga. The titles were familiar, but that was the only thing I could read, literally. And then the figures outside of like the big mainstays, the Demon Slayer, the My Hero Academia. What's popular over there is very different than what's popular here is different from what's popular in Japan.
Yeah. That's one thing that I've always been interested in too, and you know that that's one of the cool things about bringing on guests from around the world. It's finding out what the anime culture is like in other countries.
Like we did not see nearly as much in Greece as we did in London and France. Like we found a clothing shop. We did 4 days at the end in the south of France. we found a clothing shop that had a bunch of nerd culture, just clothing lines, period. Like, AJ came home with a Evangelion hoodie, but there was other anime clothing as well as just American uh, pop culture. Like there was graphic stuff from Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, UFC, some random sports logo stuff, like from American sports.
Now, I'm curious, knowing that you'd gone into some of the nerd culture stuff, did you see a lot of, like, you go into a comic shop or a gaming store or something here in the US and you see like a lot of Warhammer, you've got the D&D stuff. Did you see much of that out in Greece?
We did see some D&D books at a I'm not sure, I think it was a game shop. But the D&D books were not in English. I recognized them strictly because I owned them in English. But it was a very small sale display.
So it almost feels like it's a very small niche out there currently, or?
That could be that particular shop. There was one shop we went into where, because my husband has started a thing where everywhere we go, he has to buy a pack of Magic cards. Magic the Gathering. One store had nothing but Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Which I think was the bigger surprise, was that there was not a single thing for Magic the Gathering. You'd think that would be
up there.
But that could be the specific area we were in. That could be that specific store. Who knows?
That is kind of surprised. What about Weiss Schwartz? Because I know, like in Vermont and some of the anime stores in New England carry the Weiss Schwartz cards, which are anime based. I don't know how to play the game, but they, like, every anime has got its own collection of cards for it.
I have no idea what this is, and I've never seen it.
Really?
Really?
Let me see if I can. Weiss Schwartz Sword Art Online 10th anniversary cards. Like this is, let's see if I can bring this up on another tab here. But this is the logo for Weiss Schwartz. I know this because, like, Black Knight Games always had this with them. That's what the logo looks like. And you can find it on all kinds of cards.
I can honestly say never heard of it.
And these are just some of the sample cards that you might see out there. So that's like the Attack on Titan collection. They have it for Konosuba. Like every anime seems like they have Weiss Schwartz cards. Like I said, I've seen it at anime conventions throughout New England, especially like Vermont, New Hampshire, stuff like that. Like there's a Mega Man card. I've never actually played it, so I don't know how good it is, but just knowing how big that was kind of in the, and some people I think just collect them because the art's, like you saw, the art on them is really good. And you can get them for so many different shows, even like the obscure ones. Like obviously Konosuba is more popular, but I've seen it for like Rosario Vampire. I've seen it, I think I saw like Dog and Scissors had a deck and stuff like that. But on that note, it has hit 10 o'clock Eastern time here on Anime-Zing Radio, and it's time for us to wish everybody a wonderful night. I can't believe 2 hours has gone by that quick.
I know, right?
And I can't believe Darren fell asleep again.
Oh,
I was hoping he was going to be like, I'm here. But
I got nothing. I'm starting to fade myself. So
yeah.
good night, everybody.
Until
Good night,
next
chat.
week, we hope everybody has a wonderful week. Enjoy watching the animes out there. Stay awesome, and we'll see everybody back here again next Sunday for more Anime-Zing Radio right here on Facebook, YouTube,